What is up, guys? Welcome back. We are back in the garage. We are here, and I am gonna start on the Ls3 G35. Just like I told y'all, I am not gonna sit here and ramble on. We are gonna get straight into it. You guys know that we're gonna be putting on the LSA water pump, all of the LOJ stuff, and I'm gonna explain it here right now. So, like I said, I ain't gonna be here rambling, so let's get started. All right, first things first, we're gonna give this a quick check. Just make sure that everything lines up. The water pump. Yep, it looks good. So one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put silicone gasket maker around each of these holes. It is for a water pump, so there's gonna be coolant going through it just for extra security. So we're gonna get started on that first. We need to put this up so that way we can start mounting brackets to everything on here and mounting the brackets all around for all of the factory G35 stuff. And so this is the first part of the puzzle, so let's get to it. All right, come down here. You can see I cleaned the surface off best that I could, use a razor blade, wiped it down, alcoholed it, and made sure that there's no oil or coolant debris left on it. Come over here, get this very expensive seal packing. It's a, it says super long life coolant, FIPG, form in place gasket. You guys have heard me say that over and over again. It's a silicone gasket maker, and it's especially good for like all of like water pumps on mainly Toyotas, but I use it for literally everything because it's about the best you can buy. We're gonna come over here, we're gonna dab around the outside, like so. And then we're going to retain the bolts from the old water pump. See, there's 3 here, 3 here. And this thing's kind of heavy, so I'm gonna actually put the camera down for a second, put it on, and we're gonna tighten it up. Water pump sitting on here. See it start to squeeze out on the top. Just what we want. The bottom. Like so, nice and easy. But now this water pump gives us all of the bracketry points that we're able to mount everything for all of the factory 350Z G35 accessories. All right, pulling all the stuff out of the box. One thing LOJ does that's really nice that I haven't really seen with a lot of other manufacturers is that you can see in each individual pack they actually have the bracketry and all of the bolts for each individual things that, you know, it uses. So sometimes you get like packs that have just brackets all together in one and all the bolts in another. It's not separated like this. So big shout out to them for actually taking the time to put in each individual one that's needed. So we're kind of going to go down the line. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get this big square bracket out right here, or rectangle bracket out here. This is the one that actually puts a riser on the power steering lines. You can see there's this bracket right here. That bracket normally bolts to down here, but because this is swapped and we have headers here, it will get in the way. So we're going to use the bracket to bolt to the subframe here, and then this will actually bolt to the bracket, and that's going to give us the clearance we need to go around the mount by the header and follow it over here so we can attach that back to the power steering rack. All right, well, I have a confession. You can see that the bracket is still in there, and actually I have this bolted to the subframe just like it's supposed to sit factory. I forgot that, so LOJ makes a mount kit for an LS swap on a G35 350Z also, and they also utilize different headers. I believe they use the Sicky headers, and so the bracket, when I started to kind of like position this where it would sit on the bracket, I noticed it was starting to hit the headers really tough. So I thought maybe if I come under here and I put the lines in the rack first, I can kind of follow and see where it's going to want to sit. And I actually was able to move it off to the side here, and I actually bent it away from the header. I need to do a little bit more, but so it can sit away from the header, kind of like that. and then I'm gonna move this bracket, I'm gonna bend it over, and I'm gonna make it where it bolts to the factory location here. And then everything here will be ran just like factory. So I don't think I'm even gonna need that LOJ bracket. I managed to bring this up here. This is actually the power steering reservoir sitting where it should be with the factory bolts. This kit is kind of cool. I have never installed it before, but I have a feeling that once it's installed, I'm really gonna like it. So now you can see the power steering pump is sitting here. We have the cooler stuff sitting here. You can even see this bracket is gonna actually line up right where it needs to be here. When we put the front bumper on, it'll have a power steering cooler. Like, this is kind of wild, to be honest. So I think next what we're gonna do is we're gonna put together the alternator bracket. I know the alternator bracket will bolt to right here, these three, and then it kind of sits out here. And so I had to take off the bracket. There's like two 8mm that hold the bracket for the factory G35 that I took off, but it's just an empty alternator now. So that's actually gonna sit in here as well. So let's get that bracket out of there. I'll kind of show you what it looks like. We'll put it together and then put it on the block itself. Here's the alternator bracket for you. I took it out of the centerpiece on this big long one right here. So you can see it has the LOJ insignia. It's really nice. You can see these are the three holes that were on the block that I was just showing you. There's this hardware, there's these, and there's an extra pulley. The pulley will actually mount to this side. You can see that it's threaded there. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You can see there's two holes on the back here. We'll sit here, and these will go through. They are threaded, so it'll actually go from the back and tighten them down. I will use a little bit of Loctite to hold those on. This is gonna be for the bottom of the alternator. Then you have 4 of these. There'll be 3 that are actually gonna go in here, here, and here to hold it, and this one will actually go through here. When you have the pulley, you'll actually turn it over, use the spacer from the back, will go on there, and then that will mount kind of like that to there. You'll use the washer, and the longer one of these will go through all of it to hold it onto there. So we're going to install that now. Like I said, I'm going to use a little bit of glue for the bolts to hold it into the block and hold it onto here, and then I'll show you with it installed. All right, so the bracket installed, kind of give you a little idea on how it is. Make sure that this is tight, and after you make sure it's tight, make sure this still freely spins. If not, make sure that you have the spacer on the back proper and that you have the washer up here before the bolt, so it spins freely. This also moves. I have the bolts in almost all the way tight, but we have to move this back and forth because when we put the alternator in, we have to make sure that the ribs all line up with up here, and we'll use a straight edge that goes off the face here to the face of this. But we're gonna do that a little bit later. We're gonna get everything kind of set before we do anything. I am trying to utilize the dipstick on this side, leave it where it's at because it's already here. However, there might be a slight possibility because of the size of the alternator and how it sits that we're gonna have to move it to the other side. But we're trying to make it work on this side. So I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna try and set up the alternator. Here's the other bracket. So this is also part of the kit. It's got a little hook on it. It pretty much just sits like this. This will go to the front of the alternator. This one will replace this bolt here. This is the hardware they give you, and then there's a spacer. And so that will actually go like that. That's the top of the alternator. But let me kind of put it in place and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I just want to make it clear also, putting this in this way, I wanted to show you kind of how the bracketry goes, but I'm going to leave it loose. I am going to have to take this back off because this sticks out further than the alternator pulley and the crank pulley. I still need to change the crank pulley with the ATI one. I don't know if it's going to change the depth. It shouldn't, but just in case it's a little bit off, I'm not going to set this all the way tight yet. So we're just going to get it post it in here, put everything together to make sure everything is going to fit accordingly to how it's supposed to, and then we'll go in, we'll use the straight edge across here. Actually, I gotta see if Myke still has his laser liner. He has a laser liner that's really bitchin' that you kind of just put on the pulley. It uses a laser, and we can actually match up the grooves that way, or the ribs, I'm sorry, the ribs that way. And so that might even be more accurate because the way they're saying to do it is that you use a straight edge across the way, and then you'll use a Myke and make sure that the Myke is the same distance here and the same distance here, so we know it's perfectly straight. But if we can use a laser liner, that would be much better. But I want to kind of see how this all sets, so if we have to move some stuff around in the car, you know, accessories, whatever. At least we'll kind of see the general outline on how all of this goes together, and then we can make the fine adjustments that way. You can kind of see how this is going to go. After like glancing at the directions, I kind of came to a conclusion that because they're saying we have to put a straight edge on this, however, one thing I realized is that if you kind of set this up like this, the bracket can't really move much more. It has a hard spacer here that won't allow movement. This has to go here that won't allow movement. So this has to directly set up exactly where this is at. So I think I might use the Allen and sneak it behind here and tighten down this rear one. I don't know if you can see my finger, but right here, and tighten it down, and then take the alternator off and tighten the rest of them down, because that should be directly where the pulleys line up. I don't know how there could be any other adjustment. If I pull this out, it'll just pull the bottom out, and then it won't be straight, you know, perpendicular this way anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I'm using logic, I guess. I don't know. I hope I'm right. But I think right now, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tighten that down, and then I'm not gonna tighten this down yet because the plug is right here and the alternator cable is back there. So I'm gonna have to take this off anyway. But at least mocking this up, I know that I can set this right here, this bracket right here, and that this bracket will be where it needs to be. Then we can move on to the bracketry for the power steering pump and start setting all of this up. All right, alternator removed. I tighten these all down. It's not gonna move anymore. So now this should be where this is gonna live. So let's move on to the power steering pump. All right, I wanted to show you, we pulled the bracket out. The bags that were next down underneath the alternator bags, we pulled those brackets out. You're gonna see it has brackets like this. It's gonna have these brackets on here, and then the bag underneath it will be the hardware. And so all of that will be for right here. You can see the two bigger hex head bolts will go through here. This bracket will be on top, and this is the shorter one. You can see it won't stick out. The two bigger ones are the ones that actually go into the water pump. So I used a little bit of the thread locker, put these on, and now this is set. So I have to take off this bracket, and we're gonna utilize the new one that came with LOJ to put on here, because it's gonna be the tensioner for it. So I'll show you as soon as I put it on. All right, we are really starting to make some progress here. You can see I have the power steering pump is all bolted up here. So the way that this works, this long bolt that comes with it will go through the spacer that's right here, will go in between the pump and the head, and then this goes all the way through. Unfortunately, I had to take this ground off. It was sitting right there, so I'm gonna have to find another place for that. This is a factory ground. The LS motors are really finicky with ground, so I wanted to make sure that I utilize as many grounds as possible, and I just thought it was super clean with the factory like G35 one, but we'll move it, we'll make it work. And now you can see that this is gonna be like the slide. This will move up and down to be able to create tension on the belt. However, this thing is like really pinched, so I'm gonna have to trim this down, cut it down so that way it goes and doesn't have this pinch at the top. But other than that, it's starting to look pretty factory. So we have this much done. The last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the oil filter relocation. And we have this one bracket that's actually gonna go on the front of it here, and that'll be for a tensioner, because then the belt will go underneath here for the tensioner. So let's put the tensioner on, and then let's get to the oil cooler, well, oil filter relocation. And then I think that's gonna be it for today. Unfortunately, because Mike, I just talked to him, he said that it still isn't here for the AC bracket. So that's gonna be the last thing that goes on. And then you're gonna see all of this all together, I mean, pretty much ready to rock. So we are making some seriously killer progress. I'm stoked on this. I love how this is coming out. I didn't think it was gonna be this easy, to be completely honest. But yeah, enough, let me shut up and let's get started with the bracket here for the tensioner. All right, so having this out for you, this is the bracket that is going to go right here. This is what it looks like. It comes with two pulleys here, it comes with two short bolts and washers, it comes with 3 of these and a shorter one. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna turn this over. You're gonna take the one that has the big collar, all the ribs on it, and you're gonna slide it on like that. And then you're going to put a washer and this one, and that will go like this. And then this one you'll actually take and you'll turn it upside down, and you'll put it on the right one. And then you're gonna put the washer and this, You'll tighten those down. After these are tightened down, this is actually going to turn, and then you can see that these bolt holes will line up with those bolt holes, and it's pretty self-explanatory from there. We'll use the longer ones for the longer, we're going to use the shorter for the shorter, and this will all be bolted, and that's going to give us all of the travel and all of the bends that are necessary for the belt to work with all of the factory stuff on this side. Like I said, the only one thing we're going to have to do is get the AC bracket from LJ. It's on the way, we just don't have it yet, and that will be the last thing that we do. We're not going to do it in this video, but I will update you with the next video as soon as Myke brings it to me. All right, and there you have it, the bracket on. Make sure that there's no obstruction with the pulleys, that everything turns freely. Last thing, I told you guys that we need to cut this. I was actually looking in the bag, and there is this. I was wondering what this was, and actually what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off this 10 right here and pull the whole thing out, and instead of this being a loop like that, this will actually go in like this, and so it'll stick straight out, and we'll be able to cut this and it'll just go straight from there to here. So it makes it really nice. There's a little bit of Loctite you can see in there, and you can see that the hose will just push onto the barbed end. So we're gonna do that in a few, but I do want to get the oil filter stuff taken care of before we run out of daylight, because we are running out of daylight fast. Look at that, man. Sometimes you just have to stop and like appreciate. Anyway, so enough appreciating. Now let's get back to brass tacks. We're gonna put the filter, I think the filter housing will be sitting on this part of the cylinder head, and then the filter actually will screw from underneath, and we'll have the lines that actually come down, and it goes to right up in there. So real short, not that long, and I want to get this done first too, so that way we don't put the AC compressor on by accident and then have to route it around and that type of stuff. So I'm gonna go get the bag and we're gonna get started on that. All right, for the last part of this, you can see I have it unwrapped. Comes with really nice hoses here. It comes with a really nice filter plate here. These are already installed. You can see it's even stupid proof. It has arrows on which way the oil goes. However, the one on the bottom is not stupid proof. Please pay attention to the next part. It does matter which way the oil comes out, goes in, and goes back to the block, because if it's the wrong direction, you'll starve the motor and blow it up, I promise. So make sure that you pay attention to it. I'm going to put arrows. I'm going to probably draw arrows on the bottom plate down there after I install these. That way you guys know. I can show you a visual representation. That way you guys have every idea on which way it goes without any you know, misdirection. So, but first things first, we're going to put this plate. The plate will be on there like that. Make sure the plate is the right direction. You can see these 3 holes, so this sits flat like this. If you turn it the other way, you can see it's on the side. So make sure that it is the right direction. You'll put the big bolts through the big bolt holes, and then you're going to use the little ones for this. Really self-explanatory. We're going to mount that to the cylinder head right now, and then we're going to put these on, and we're going to run the lines and pretty much be done for today. Like so. All right, so I marked this mainly for you guys to see. Let me get, there you go. So you can see where the out and the in is. The in, back from the filter back into the motor, is the in the back towards the transmission where it says in. Out of the motor is in the front, down to the filter housing up there, and then from the filter housing up there back into the motor to the back one. All right, so I started to put these in, and then it occurred to me that because I don't want to discharge the AC compressor, I can't put these lines in my way right now. So unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to call it quits. Because I don't have that bracket, I'm not gonna be able to put the rest of the stuff together. But you guys can see how this is coming out. It's gonna be sick looking, and we are almost there. I gotta get the balancer puller so I can pull this balancer off. I'll probably just go rent it from O'Reilly because I don't have one. It's one of the few tools that I don't have because I don't really ever need it except for working on American cars. But we'll put the balancer on, and then when we get the bracket, we're gonna put the bracket on, we'll put the AC in, and we're gonna button up everything and finish the rest of it. But I hope you guys are like enjoying this, because I was not expecting it to look this sick, be this clean, and yeah, it kind of took me back a little bit. But yeah, unfortunately, I think we're gonna call it quits. show you guys one more time everything together. Man, it's starting to look really good. I'm really impressed with this kit. And unfortunately, I'm sorry that we are not able to get it done and put together and, you know, put the front on tonight. This like backtracking of like parts that we don't get it, you know, for weeks after it's being ordered is really kind of just, you know, kind of killing the vibe. So I'm sorry that like each video is like we get some stuff done, but it doesn't get done all the way, and then we get more stuff done and then it doesn't get done all the way. Right now with the economy and how everything's going, that's just kind of the way it is. So I'm trying to keep you guys like up to date on everything that's going on as we're getting the car done. But we are getting close. You guys are seeing the progress. I've never done the LOJ kit. I'm really super happy that I'm getting a chance to do that. I haven't done an AC on here before, so there's a lot of like firsts on this that I'm really stoked about. Anyway, if you guys have questions or comments, as I always tell you, hit me in the DMs or hit me on my Instagram at @thecrookedking. And you know, if you guys like the build content and all of this type of stuff, you're new to the channel or you're just stopping by, hit the subscribe button. You want to see more, hit the notification bell. You guys know the drill. Like, I don't have to keep saying this, but all my day ones, all the people that out there supporting, and everybody that, you know, comes through, even if you're just checking it out just to see the channel and, you know, you don't subscribe. Much love to you guys. Big shout out to all you guys that always support me, always support my boy Myke, and, you know, everything that we do. I really feel super stoked that, you know, we have opportunities like this to build this. And I want to see this damn car run already. Like, you know, it's just, I need to get out driving. Me and Myke are talking a lot about, excuse me, starting to like drift. I have some things in the works for this car, hopefully coming up really soon. I am gonna put some money, some time into that car because that's gonna become the seat time car. I wanna drive that a whole lot more. I wanna drift that a whole lot more. I wanna come to events, meet you guys like I always tell you. And yeah, and like I said, and even in the last video, I have not forgotten about the Datsun project because that's the dream car and that's coming to the channel. And also for the last video, for me like telling people kind of why I quit Sac City, I had some comments down there and I need to address this because some people are like, man, shut up. You don't need to talk so much. You don't need to express it. You don't need to do that. I want you guys to know that the reason why I go into lengthy detail or I tell you what's going on in my life is because I want to connect with you guys. I want you guys to know about me. I want you to know what's going on. Like I always tell you, we're building this channel together. And so some stuff is not going to be car related. It's going to be my life. It's going to be what's going on with stuff here. And you know, 99% of you guys, you know, really like mess with it heavy, and you know, and I appreciate that. And so I hope you guys appreciate me putting it out there. I know there's that 1% that come to the channel, they're like, hey, teach me something, and then I'm gone, and that's fine. Like I want to be able to be available in all aspects for everybody to be able to enjoy it. But for a lot of you guys are genuinely interested in like my life, what's going on, where I'm at, what I'm doing, and you know, and I love to share that, and I love to know about y'all, and I love you guys like, you know, expressing to me. I get DMs all day, every day about, hey, check this out, or just funny DMs or stuff like that. So I'm building a relationship with the channel. I'm building a relationship with you guys. I'm building a relationship, not just a car relationship, but a personal relationship, you know, as much as we can. So for the ones out there that are like, yo, just shut up, stop, you know, expressing all that stuff, or you don't have to talk so long, blah, 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 that type of stuff. I just want you to know that that's the reason why. And, you know, like I try to be on a genuine, like down to earth level with you. But anyway, I'm gonna cut this out now. Tomorrow is Father's Day. I hope you guys have a wonderful Father's Day. For all my dads out there, shout out to you guys. For me, like one of the best things that happened in my life was becoming a dad. And so yeah, big shout out to you guys. Happy Father's Day. I hope you guys have a wonderful day tomorrow. Spend a lot of time with the family. You know, don't bullshit. Just go out and have a great time with your family, even if it's just in the backyard to play with your kids. But anyway, yeah, big shout out to you guys. I love y'all. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. Hope you guys have been well. Hope your families have been well. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.